So we are live. We are live now on social media.
There you go.
Janice Steinhagen.
Here I am.
You gotta come up with a name for Eric.
Eric is a very nice name.
It is. It's very strong. But like
With an H, he spells it with an H because it's
Right.
German. Eric.
That's the correct way to spell it.
Eric.
with an H.
That's everyone else spells it incorrectly with a C or a K.
Yeah, they know.
H is the right.
Eric
with an H.
Eric the Mask.
Erich.
Almost sounds like hectic.
You'd wear a mask into battle and call you Eric the Mask. Yeah, he's like, no, I'm not thrilled with that one.
That's one thing we don't do when we time travel is
Trying to keep my
battles.
bald head out of it.
So you're not buying the whole time travel thing. You gotta think though, if it exists, I'm appealing to your fantasy side here. So if it existed, it always has. You can do that. Yes.
Let's just say, oh yeah.
Sure.
It is possible. It's possible.
Whatever you say, Mike.
Not unusual to be on the track. But anyway, you should listen though. You can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on YouTube and other social media platforms. And
You can't see his face.
Okay.
yeah. Don't worry about my eye watering today. Something's in it. I can't get it out. So it's weird. No, it's not. I don't know if I whacked it or something in the middle of the night. You ever happen to that?
Oh yeah,
When you guys-
crinkles, little crinkles.
Something's going on in
Especially
there.
when I'm gardening.
You know, I get more things flying in my eye when I wear glasses as opposed to when I'm not. It's weird. It's weird. So we're going to do the news in a couple of seconds as soon as the system boots back up because we're doing updates to our computers this morning. So that way, right now we just keep on yapping. But we'll talk about Connecticut Masks for Heroes and Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes. And you guys are a year old, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that's born out of the pandemic.
Mhm.
You know, so we'll chit chat about that in just a few minutes. So before we get into that, what else is going on? How are you enjoying retirement? You and Eric are both retired
We're
now,
both
correct?
retired, yeah.
After a fashion.
Retired from our paid
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I hear that.
Predictable income gigs.
Yeah.
And when I say predictable income, you know, I'm talking about how last year at this time we began to watch our entire reenactment schedule slowly just disintegrate.
Yeah.
They started canceling things actually back in early March. The first event we had was what would have been a year ago this coming week, and that was the first one to be canceled. But the rest of them just began. It was like dominoes.
Yeah.
We did, however, get invited to a couple of local things. We spent a few weekend afternoons at the Lovingwell House in Norwich.
Yep.
They had outdoor events about once a month throughout the warm months.
You've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, and they couldn't let anybody in the house,
Yeah.
but they did have outdoor things, and we went to a few of those, and that was really, they were very low key, you know, masks, social distancing. They were very strict about that, and they went over really well. We also did one or two events at the Nathaniel Green Homestead in Coventry, Rhode Island. I don't know if you know who Nathaniel Green was.
No, do not.
He was
Green's boy.
sorry,
Mrs. Green.
Mrs. Green's boy,
True.
and he did well. He was a general in Washington's army, and he did a lot of the fighting in the South. Directed a lot of the fighting in the South. He's very well respected. He retired in the South and died there, but he was actually from a Quaker family, and his family kind of separated from him. His parents and whatnot, siblings, when he decided to become a military person, because that went against.
That was against his religion.
religious
Yeah.
tenets. But there's actually the town where I went to college village in Pennsylvania, Greensburg, was named after him, and I had no idea who he was, so it was kind of surprised me to find his homestead up here. But they're lovely people there.
You know, Cleveland was named after a
Moses
gentleman.
Cleveland from
Canterbury, yeah.
Yes, there's a monument to him in Canterbury.
We have, Melissa and I went walking with the dogs one day when we lived in Canterbury, and we found this old cemetery, which I always find to be very fascinating because you never know what you're going to see and how old some of these tombs and graves are. And we saw Moses Cleveland, and the whole there's a sarcophagus there, for his
So
wife.
he was buried there. I didn't realize.
Yeah. He's buried there, and the sarcophagus, the top of it, slanted off just a little bit. So you almost want to take a flashlight. I mean, it's dust to dust, But I mean, that's been like that for years. So whatever is in there was blown away, many times over.
So you must have been down to the old burying ground in Orangetown then.
I have not.
Oh, you need to go.
What's this?
Benedict Arnold's mother is buried there.
Really?
And one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, Samuel Huntington. He's buried there as a big tomb, ceremonial tomb.
Now, where is this in Norwich?
Behind UCFS or the Lord Center, you know where that is in Norrichtown, across from Norrichtown Mall. If you park in that parking lot where People's Bank is, and you walk between the two buildings, you get into that, and it's a fascinating place.
Wow.
And they're very, very old tombstones there. They're really, really.
I didn't know they were there.
I neither did I. I know.
It's
I had
one
no
of the
idea.
real treasures of Norwich.
It is, and it really is hidden. If once you go back there, you feel as if you're kind of time traveling. Speaking of time traveling, because you feel like this is a place that's literally been frozen in time, and it is a fascinating place.
For the lichens growing all over it.
The lichens, yeah. So
I'm trying to think of where the People's Bank is. I know right across from Norrichtown Mall.
yeah, Norrichtown.
That's the medical center there.
Right.
Yeah. And the
Norwich
People's Bank is on the far corner near the road.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's right
so
next
you walk
door.
back there, you
Yes.
walk back
Between
there?
the two buildings, there's like a little, you'll see
Really?
there's a little path up the hill.
Mhm.
And you'll see tombstones before too long, yeah.
Yeah.
The other place you can go is the big yellow UCFS office building that's in Norrichtown. I can't remember what street it's on. If you walk down past the point of the Norrichtown Green and follow the road off to the left, it will also get you there. There's a big gate there.
Oh,
But
got
I'm
it,
kind of
yeah.
like, it's easier to park in the parking lot.
Wow.
Just walk back there. There's Al doing his street cleaning. God love him.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Al Gear will be coming back pretty soon.
Oh, really?
You know, Al's-
Oh, right. He's a snowbird now, right?
No. He tore his quad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in an accident that he had at home. And then he went through some medical care here. He went to Hertford Hospital. They couldn't really find what was going on with him. Sent him to a rehab facility. Couldn't find out. Then they released him. And actually, they released him to his daughter's care, who now flew him to Texas. And that's where they found the tear in the quad. And he has been in rehab for 6 months.
Wow.
Been going a while.
But he's walking now without a walker.
Oh,
So, but he's supposedly coming back in April sometime. So very, very interesting. So Mr. Jewett City. And I think the thing is that Mr. Jewett City will no longer be living in the borough. He will forever be known as Mr. Jewett City. Yeah. All right, so we're going to break for the news real quick. Quick news report, and then we'll be back in a minute. We'll talk about Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes. They are celebrating their 1 year in existence, and it's all due to the vision of Janice Steinhagen of Voluntown. I always want to say Griswold. Wait, Griswold?
Griswold.
Really?
Just inside the line.
Are you really? I thought it was Voluntown. All right. Of Griswold. And just barely, but there. And we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes right here on SNSN.
Ed Burke's gonna try to get a hold of it.
Is he?
Oh.
He wants to start an arts thing.
Oh, I
He
saw
had,
something about
he had
that.
done something about, with that for a while. Actually, there was a festival
Yeah.
in town.
Yeah.
He's looking to get a group together.
Okay, well,
We
Yeah,
told him to
I
contact you.
I saw something I was on Griswold now, there's something that
He put out there,
posted,
he's
yeah.
looking for people.
Yeah.
well, it's interesting. I thought he kind of dropped that, but now
He's back with it.
He dropped it with the pandemic and just kind of let it
Yeah.
go.
Well, God bless him. I mean, yeah, I think, Jewett City is really an interesting place in a lot of ways. I mean, it has its big challenges, but I tell you what, it's got people who have real vision, like they really want to, make things happen.
Investment in the place.
And, that's all it takes sometimes. is
Yeah,
someone
well,
just
so
like,
he's
yeah,
looking,
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'll have to, I'd like to tell you about that, I saw something on Facebook.
oh,
It's one of these
interesting.
things that's
Okay,
just
yeah,
fun.
sure. We'll talk to him and see what we can do to support it right now. Well, this early part of the year, one of our biggest events was canceled
Just
on us.
canceled about a week ago.
So we have a bit more.
Which one is that?
It was at Fort Frederick State Park,
Market Fair.
Market Fair.
And that's
Yeah,
that's always the
huge.
big
Oh
kickoff
my
of the
gosh.
season. It's a 4-day event. We
Yeah,
have to
that's like-
always sell out of stuff on a
Whereabouts?
regular basis. It's in
Maryland.
Big Pole, Maryland, northern Maryland.
Yeah.
Not really close to anything.
No, well,
kind of
it's not that far from Frederick, Maryland, but it's not that close either. It's like 35.
Frederick or Fredericksburg?
Frederick.
Fredericksburg is like in the
Fredericksburg, I don't know
vicinity
where that
of
is.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's south of Gettysburg.
It's in that little narrow part of Maryland. That kind of, if you see Maryland, how it kind of like gets real skinny at the top and then it flares out a little bit again.
Like West Virginia.
Yeah, it's almost, it's like,
It's not that
you got
big of a-
Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, just like within.
You can hit all three within
Right,
15
yeah,
minutes.
across
So yeah.
the- And yeah, we've been doing that show for years and
What
we
an interesting, and
have hundreds of
we're
people.
kind of devastated. The whole Green Acton community is pretty much devastated at this. I mean, this is a second year running that they've canceled. Now, it'll come back next year, I'm pretty confident, but a lot of people are just.
The people.
Makes or breaks your
The
season
people
sometimes.
for whom
Yeah.
their merchants, their shop, so to speak, is their livelihood,
Yeah.
we're not in that position.
Yeah, well, yeah, no.
But
100%.
no, we're not. We're
Yeah.
in a better position.
We are.
But that's the only one so far. And fortunately, the weekend after that, we were invited to an event in Mount Vernon,
Right.
which we've never been to before.
Well, we've been to
we've
Mount Vernon
but
many
not to
times, but not to this
It's like a
particular.
Rev War encampment, and there's never been room for us in previous years, but they invited us this year, and so we always do well in Rev Vernon, so we're hoping that will make up at least part of,
Oh, you'll do the one? Just about ready to go back on. All right, let's take a look at the forecast right now as Paul is breaking the studio. If you're watching on Facebook, you're what? Just making changes.
All right,
It's the
ready?
ball of positivity.
All right, here we go. Right now, the temperature downtown Sioux City is 39 degrees. Generally cloudy today, highs will be around 61 degrees. But tonight, rain, areas of patchy cloud, could be through.
Actually, what?
Patchy cloud.
Oh, they said clog.
That's what I heard.
That's what I
Expect traffic jams.
There's no rain. This says, I was thinking of the happy dance, the Irish.
The happy dance, yeah. Oh,
Lows will be around.
Whatever.
37 degrees. No, don't say whatever. That's a negative comment.
that's not positive.
For you Thursday, even though it will be cloudy, it will be partly sunny with highs possibly 70.
Wow.
7.
Great,
Wow.
And of course, the Thursday
Yeah.
evening, cloudy with occasional light rain, not heavy rain, after midnight, lows will be around 50 degrees. And that's your weather on this Friday, this Wednesday. Getting ahead of myself. 03.
Your time travel.
24.
Yeah.
Your time travel.
I jumped ahead by 3 days.
Did you listen to yesterday's show?
No, I wasn't.
See, we've been doing a lot of weird stuff lately, or strange stuff with conspiracy type stuff. Yesterday was all about near-death experiences.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, I did see something about that on your website.
What's that?
I saw something about that on your website. The light at the end of the tunnel thing.
Yeah, see, so like,
Somebody just said to me that the sound on here is awful, so I want to check it real quick.
Okay. All right. Sound check testing.
you know, being
Testing.
positive for nothing.
Hold on. Somebody just said to me that the sound on here is awful, so I want to check it. So it looks fine to me. It sounds fine to me. I don't know. Let me take a look here and see what I'm. Let me just test something real quick here.
Do you want me to make a high pitched squeal like they do when they're testing the emergency
Um,
broadcast system?
Sure. Yeah. Let's try something here. 1 2 1 2. All right. See, now that's weird because it's still picking things up. Let's see. 1 2 1 2. All right. See, now that's weird. It's still picking things up. It shouldn't be. 1 2 1 2 1 2. See, no. I.
I think I got it. I think I got it. I have it.
Why are you annoying?
You know, wait a minute, that's negative.
I was gonna say, not being very positive over here.
You are positively annoying.
Does it sound better? Does it sound better now, Stephanie? Does it sound better now? I think we fixed it. Whatever the issue was.
One can hope.
Much better.
Okay.
Good.
Yay.
All right, that's good to know. So anyway, welcome Janice. Welcome Eric.
Thank you.
The Steinhagens.
Ta-da-da.
Oh man, this is like that either could be a sitcom or a reality show. You do one of those 80s open, right?
Oh, it'd be a 70s open. It'd have to be a 70s open. We're
Love,
old school.
American style.
Oh my God.
You know, Janice is
I
your
haven't thought of
cruise
that
director.
series for- But you know, when we were in college, it's like Saturday night. If you were really like you didn't have a date for the weekend and you were stuck in the dorms, it's
Right.
like everybody is like, you know, if people were saying, so what are you doing this weekend? And you're saying watching Fantasy Island. Oh,
I used to love that show. I used to love it. The plane boss. The plane.
Oh my gosh.
Remember what his name was? What his real name was?
It was a tattoo or something
Right,
like
but
that.
what was his name?
Oh.
Hervé Villaches.
Oh yeah. And Ricardo Montalban.
Ricardo
The rich
Montalban.
Corinthian leather guy. What was the name of that vehicle? The Seville? Was it the with the rich Corinthian leather?
The Cordova.
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 Oh yes.
Cordova.
The only reason why I know because I had one.
Ah, very good. Did it have the rich Corinthian leather?
I had the leather.
Ooh, baby. Yeah. Okay.
So Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes.
Yay.
The organization has been with us now, created for 1 year. Tell us.
For 1 year. Yes. Facebook told me the other day when I was doing I was sort of adjusting the description of our group in the profile. I knew it was the end of March, but I didn't know what day. And Facebook told me that we were founded on March 28th, and it was founded as a Facebook group, kind of as an outgrowth of seeing there was a gap in the supply chain. At that point, as you might remember, everything had shut down. The world was on lockdown. We were all quarantining at home, and uh, people were. I was seeing requests from people on Facebook who were saying, "I work in a nursing home, and we really need some masks. Does anybody know of someone who
Can make them
can make
or
masks?"
supply them.
And I was also seeing other people on Facebook saying, "I'm trying to find elastic. I'm trying to make masks, but I'm out of elastic." And all the stores, Walmart was
Yeah.
open, but they were out of elastic because people had snapped it up. The fabric stores were closed. The shipping was, erratic
Yeah.
at best. And if you went online to try to order stuff, it was hard to find.
Right.
So I thought, well, what we can do maybe is get these two groups of people together. We know people are making the masks. We know people need them. How about we figure out a way to connect the two? And that's what our group was founded
That's
to
what
do.
happened. Yeah.
We were, I mean, at the time when the lockdown was happening and a lot of people were home and had a lot of time on their hands, we were cranking them out at a couple thousand a month.
Yeah.
Actually. And a lot of people told me at the time, this is what's making these masks is what's keeping me sane. Feel
Mhm.
like I'm doing something helpful. When you feel helpless,
Or doing anything at all that's
doing
productive.
anything at all,
Yeah.
right? You're doing something productive. You
Because
feel like
everything else is stopped.
right.
Everything is stopped.
People were not at work. People. It was a very strange world a
Mhm.
year ago now, and so what we found, we were focusing at the beginning, and the original description of the group was that we are focused solely on healthcare workers, and that was it.
Right.
And soon we started getting requests from like police departments and fire departments and nursing homes and essential workers. And slowly, at first it was like, well, do we just stick to the original plan? But as it became evident that we needed all these other factors to keep the world running while we were all on lockdown, um, and the influx of masks seemed to be sufficient that we could provide for them, we began opening it up. And so we've seen as time went on, as more things slowly began opening, like every time there was, the stores were open, we knew there was going to be a wave of requests from people in retail. And when the schools were reopened, that we knew there would be a wave of requests for the schools. And then when people, it was said, well, everybody has to wear a mask to go shopping, get your groceries, go to the bank, go do anything like that, then we knew there would just, basically we were open to the world.
Right.
So essentially, what we're doing now is providing for all the same people that we initially provided for, less for the hospitals, because they're the ones, rightly so, who are getting
They're getting the PPP. Yeah.
the N95s,
PPE. Yeah.
the N95s, and the high end stuff that they really need. But we're kind of trying to do what we can to provide for anybody else in the community who needs masks. We have supplied probably a couple thousand masks to the USS Subbase
Wow.
down in Groton for various.
Now, how do they
boats
hear
as
about you?
Come in. One of the Navy wives contacted us and asked us, and her initial request was for 500 masks. And my jaw just dropped, and I thought, that's an awful lot. But you know
big
what?
order,
These people stepped up. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. I put it out there. I said that we needed 500 masks. They were asking for 500 masks. And little by little increments, I get a couple dozen here and 20 there, and you add it up over time. And at this point, as I said, we've been doing that since very early days. We've been supplying the Subbase.
So how many masks in total have you put out since the beginning a year ago?
As of yesterday, we have donated 16,805 masks out into the community, Eastern Connecticut. Connecticut / Rhode Island. A few here and there, a handful have gone elsewhere. I actually sent a batch of Coast Guard print masks up to the Coast Guard Air Station in Kodiak, Alaska, at the request of one of the Coast Guard moms. I belong to their group online. Yeah. So it just amazes me. And, there's, at this point, we have maybe, I'd say between 10 and 15 people sewing at any given time, off and on. And these are people who are, it's just volunteer. I mean, nobody's getting
Right.
paid for this. What funds we receive as donations from people, we just have been channeling right back into fabric and elastic and sewing thread and any other supplies that we need, buttons. We've been making headbands that have buttons on the side so the people who work in healthcare, people who are doing vaccine clinics, for example, can loop their ear loops, the elastic ear loops around those and take the pressure off their ears. And we've made scrub caps for a lot of people in healthcare, folks down at UCFS and at Bacchus Hospital. And they also have buttons on them. So, whenever we find a need for something that we can help provide, people just spring into action, and it's just astonishing to me. We got some good people in this community, really, really good people.
I've always noticed that whenever something needs to happen, people in this community do step up.
People
Yeah,
come together.
yeah,
They do
and
come together. Yeah.
that's a wonderful thing, and it's been a gift to us to see, to be in the hub of this, really,
Yeah.
because we were not only seeing the people coming to pick up the sewing supplies at our house. Our house is like the central headquarters for this. People will come to our house during the day and pick up supplies, and I get to chat with them. And the people who are coming to pick up the masks also come to our house and pick them up. So I've gotten to see the whole spectrum of the people giving of themselves for this effort and the people who are so grateful to receive it. And so that's been a real gift for us, just to see that whole range.
I mean, even just recently, let's see, we've seen the community come together for Bert Sorrell.
Yeah.
At one time, Scott Fryer had gone ahead and started a GoFundMe and collected near, if not, it was over $8,000.
Yeah.
You have Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes, even to the point where people kind of came together to fund a restaurant's electric bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which are they
It's
even
amazing.
open? Are they even open?
Sorrells?
No.
No.
Spanish restaurant.
Oh,
Right.
Rosa's.
Yeah,
It was a good thing.
I haven't seen. I haven't been there during their open hours, so I don't know what the story
I've seen
is
all I've
there.
seen on Facebook is we're open, we're closed, we're open, we're closed,
Yeah,
we're open, we're
it's
closed.
been like that.
I don't even know anymore.
It's hard to say. I don't know what's going on with that.
Maybe it changes week to week. I'm not sure.
I don't know the story, but yeah, it's a wonderful thing to see. Even though everybody, I tell people every single person has their own personal tale of woe connected with COVID. Some of them are really tragic, and some of them are just, some of them are, extreme inconvenience or discomfort or upheaval. Everybody's tragedy is a little bit different, but everybody's going through it, and I think there's some degree of empathy. People understand, that we're all kind of hurting.
Sure.
The best thing we can do is do something to help our neighbor not hurt so much. So
Eric, let me ask you, I mean, what it's been like for you, I mean, because this is a lot of masks, and a lot of work that, I mean, not just the sewing of the masks but the collecting of them, the delivering of them, the sending out of them.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a really, in a lot of ways, enriching experience, as Janice says. Excuse me. As Janice says, we've been kind of the crossroads for a lot of people. Now, just to keep in mind that lest you think we're that's a bad thing because of the COVID. The way our house is situated, we set up the masks materials on good days outside, and we have a little vestibule with a sliding glass door, so that even on the inside, we when it's on the inside of bad days, we can set the stuff out in the vestibule, and we can be behind the glass door, so we can still visit with people without actually being, in danger. And that has been wonderful in a lot of ways, because I think, during these times, people kind of feel sad and lonely because, even though we can do social media, that's no, substitute for real human contact. Yet we're able to, on a whim, just have somebody come in, and they're all oftentimes very positive and happy, because when you're doing things like this, you kind of, it brings you out of yourself. And so we've been the beneficiaries of that. Not to mention, we've made some kind of interesting little side trips. Like we went to Rhode Island when it was on a strict lockdown, just to deliver some masks to a Coast Guard buoy tender.
Oh yeah,
That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. We actually had to register with the police
at the border
in order to cross the
Yeah.
Newport Bridge.
Yeah.
We had to register with the police. We had to pull over and give our names and everything, what we were doing there at that time. Excuse me, I got a little something in my throat there. But it was just kind of fun. And then we got a little tour of the boat and everything. And it was, so all in all, it's been a positive for us. I've really, I have to give, Janice obviously is doing most of it. I'm very peripheral in all this, but I like to try to enable her, her as much as I can. Because, I think it's been as I say, a very interesting and positive experience.
He's part of what we like to call our men's auxiliary.
Men's auxiliary.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
a gentleman who lives in Glasgow named Kurt Steiger was instrumental in the very beginning. He was sourcing elastic for us when it was hard to find, and he was channeling it, ordering it and channeling it to us. And when we were away, he was distributing it himself out of his front porch. So, but yeah, we have people who can't sew, who are part of our group, who have done packaging for us. They've bagged up masks with the little label. People who have cut out patterns. People who take the yards of cloth home and wash it and dry it in the dryer so that it's pre-shrunk, and then cut it into manageable lengths. So it's there are a lot of people out there, even though they don't have sewing skills, they want to be part of this effort, and that frees us up for, gives us more time to do the actual sewing. So I have to say too that I just look at that number of almost 17,000 masks, and no one of us could possibly have done anything near that alone.
Well, the Bulletin
So-
did an article early on about masks for heroes, and it was actually in many respects a very good article. But the one inconsistency was they implied that Janice was making all these masks, and
Yeah.
that was-
2,500 in a month,
Yeah,
which
that was
I'm sorry.
definitely
Yeah.
not
I
the
couldn't have
case.
done that. No.
There's some,
That's 80 plus a day.
Yeah.
That's basically.
she's good, but she's
Eat, sleep, and sew.
She's not quite that good.
No.
So we just, it's like a little community of people.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a little pop-up
Yeah.
community.
God, you got research and development. You have your sales team, which isn't really selling.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
this
distribution.
distribution,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Yeah. And
Mhm.
people are members. Some of the people who are members of our group are either in healthcare or, had some need and made a request from us, and they keep us posted where the needs are.
It's quite a business model.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, everything that you have set up, and it was all organic.
Yeah.
It was. That's a good way to describe it.
See,
Actually,
the interesting thing is almost no money is involved. I
Right.
mean, I won't
Yeah.
say zero, but because there are no donations are solicited, but people sometimes give a little money anyway. Not a lot. But a lot of it's just donations.
Yeah, people
and,
have made
so-
donations. And
Yeah.
that's another way that people who don't sew have been able to help us, especially early on when materials were hard to come by. We were,
Remember
in-
a weird trip we took to Rhode Island that time? somebody was there was no elastic available at one point. Zero. I mean, nowhere, none in the
Who'd have
stores.
thought?
Not, everybody who had elastic, people were using t-shirts and
People were cutting up bed sheets
bed sheets.
and using and cannibalizing the
Yeah.
elastic and the fabric to
Right.
make masks because you
So-
couldn't get
You
fabric
talking
from
about
the
like on the
fabric store.
fitted sheet and stuff like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, we were
So-
cutting them apart.
So we heard somebody clued us into a place in Rhode Island that actually manufactured elastic
String, like
strips.
the kind of stuff that they
Yeah.
tie around like
Right.
cut flowers and
Yeah.
things.
So we took this really strange trip. We had the GPS running, but it took us to a part of Pawcatuck or
Pawtucket.
Pawtucket,
Yeah,
Rhode Island, that I don't think I've ever been.
it's like the Twilight Zone.
It was like
It got us to this industrial park, and we're basically like circling around.
Yeah.
It's this industrial
all
park,
these
which were these
weird
old mill
that-
buildings that
yeah.
had been repurposed into an industrial park, and trying to actually find this
Yeah.
business that manufactured elastic string, and we finally located them in it's like I don't know, so we had missed
was-
a turn or something.
Yeah, it was very, very odd. I don't think it was one of these places where you get into and you don't know if you'll ever get out of again.
But we did.
We managed. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
not only
Yeah.
only sold us a cone of the elastic string, when he knew what we were
Yeah.
doing it for, he said, "Here's a couple of partial cones, and this doesn't meet our quality standards, and they're yours."
Yeah. So
Huh.
And so what we did was we put out an APB on the Facebook page for people who could crochet, because this string was very lightweight and skinny. It wouldn't
Right,
have,
right.
held up over time. And we asked people to make little 7-inch long strips of crocheted chain, which
Oh.
takes a few minutes if you're a crocheter. It's very easy.
yeah.
And we were using that until we got some elastic.
Oh.
So
Wow.
we were just, we're playing it all by
In
ear as
Pawtucket?
we went.
You found all this stuff?
Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Paul, you know where Pawtucket is, right? It's next to Quahog.
No, I'm not sure if I know where.
It's an old mill town.
never heard of
It's an
Quahog?
old mill town that's north of Providence.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, okay.
between Providence and Attleboro.
Okay.
So
Yeah. It's
interesting.
it's it's one of these New England places.
Yeah.
It has
yeah,
hundreds of years of history. And,
Yeah.
but it's also a maze. It's a warren.
Yeah.
Basically, you can't. Yeah. At least this area was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, these people were so generous. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. People have been.
Well, not to be
Yeah.
negative, as much as what you're doing, we kind of hope eventually your business is going to go out.
Oh,
well, that's
for
the
sure.
hope. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Not to be negative.
No,
Yeah,
no.
well-
That's not negative. That's actually a big positive. If we
Yeah.
can stop, put us out of business.
I would love that. I would love to have the time back.
Yeah.
But
And-
we do want to have like a big old. Actually, I thought this is my idea is to have a masquerade at the end.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well-
just have like a
People show up.
That'd
We
be
may
like
see something
crazy,
in
yeah.
the late summertime frame.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Well, we
Yeah,
had-
just do it.
We were talking
Yeah.
about that a year ago.
We were
saying when
yeah,
this is all over this summer,
yeah,
we'll have a big
Yeah.
cookout in
and
the
people,
backyard.
they'll
and-
have to design their own bizarre masks. And things,
Yeah.
So
What
yeah.
was your busiest month?
Wow.
Probably April of last year, April, May
When
of
it
last
started.
year.
Yeah.
And that was overlapping with that giant request from the sub base, and we
Yeah.
were still trying to make masks for the hospitals and the nursing homes in particular. The nursing homes were hit particularly hard because, as you know, they were really a hotbed of COVID,
Sure.
and they didn't have access to the PPE like the hospitals did. The hospitals kind of got first dibs on that. So they were really scraping. I mean, I heard horror stories from people who worked both in nursing homes and in hospitals. We have a friend who was working as she was like a freelance nurse, and she spent the height of the pandemic last year in Boston, which was like ground zero. And she was telling me stories that would just curl your hair about, having how people, they would call someone's loved ones if they were on a
Yeah.
ventilator and they were at death's door. They basically would not be able to see them until they were moments away from death, and they would have to suit their loved one up in full,
Full regalia.
protective gear. and give them just a couple of minutes. And it's just, this is the thing. I was trying to explain this to some people who were kind of like, well, it's not going to come down where I live. And, it's not, it's all, the media's making it all up. And I was trying to tell people, you have no idea, no idea. So I think we have a better idea now. It
think
just
so.
floors me that 500,000 people are gone. That and it just floors me that's happened. But it also amazes me that we've used our technology and our science to come up with a vaccine in record time. And it's interesting. Some months back, Father Ted, our pastor up here at St. Mary's Church, gave us a really surprising homily. I don't remember what the connection was to the readings from the scripture of the day, but he was telling us from the pulpit about a conversation he had with a cousin of his who works in biotech. He works at Pfizer. And they were sitting around at Christmas time talking about stuff like you do with your family at Christmas time. And
This is just this past Christmas, right?
no,
Talking
this
about
was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
This is
Okay.
at Christmas 20 years ago. He's chatting with this guy who works at Pfizer. And his cousin is telling him, yeah, he says, what we're working on now is really kind of interesting technology. It's this RNA. We're working with the RNA of microorganisms. And we think we might be able to use this for all kinds of medical purposes. It might be really useful for treating HIV. It could even eventually be used against cancer. There's a lot of possibilities for this, but it's just in the early stages now. 20 years ago. 20 years go by.
Yeah.
Guess what we're using to make the
RNA.
vaccines? Exactly. So it's not like people like Pfizer just threw stuff in a pot last week and stirred it together and said, here, this is
They already had a base of technology to build on.
It's like, well, how to make plain sugar cookies. Now you're going to adjust it so that you can make chocolate chip cookies. You're using that basis of knowledge and adapting it to the emergency at hand. And so
I hate it when you bite into a chocolate chip cookie and it ends up being a raisin cookie. That's the worst. Just saying.
Thank you for that comment.
Yeah,
I love
Have
raisins.
I ever made raisin cookies?
You don't like
Yes.
an oatmeal raisin cookie?
Oh, yeah, I'm good with that.
You're good with
As
that?
long as you know
Yeah.
it's a raisin cookie. But
Oh, yeah. If you don't know what it is, or you're expecting something and you get something else, that's
exactly that's
that
my
is,
point. I mean, I think
that's tragic right there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: have you found that the requests for PPE were much, or were they in correlation with the slope going up and down, up and down?
Yeah, to some degree.
Did you say in September and go, oh, here we go again?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think our work is not so closely tied to the ups and downs of spikes as much as it is what where there might be where we see the spikes is where something opens up again. Yeah. When the schools open.
An example of that, right now, the regular old masks, which were completely unavailable, are now pretty much everywhere.
Ubiquitous.
You can go to any store and get one. They have it on the front counter. Sometimes even give them away. But now there are specialty masks that these wonderful people are working on, like the seniors masks, which which you can't find, but basically they're masks that don't loop around the ears. They button behind your neck, so that it keeps out of the way of hearing aids and eyeglasses and things like that.
Bypasses your ears completely.
That's the one you gave me.
Yeah,
because I kept having a problem. My ears, because
Yeah.
hearing aids would fall off.
Yeah. So we just donated 34 of those to the senior center. One of the student groups at one of the public schools is putting together Easter. I think it's the capstone project at the high school. They're putting together Easter baskets for the seniors, and they were trying to, coming up with ideas of what they could put in the Easter baskets that the seniors would find useful. And Lisa at the senior center contacted us and asked if we could contribute masks, and we said sure.
Singers masks.
Oh yeah. For Ray Churchill, we made a batch of specially designed masks. They have stiffener in the front that hold them away from your face. They look vaguely like a weird duckbill kind of thing because they do stick out from your
We've
face.
seen specialty masks a lot for referees
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
basketball because they
Yeah.
had to have a mask with a whistle in their mouth.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah.
it
and-
almost, without sounding rude, but it almost looked like a
men's
thong.
underwear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it-
Like.
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We
was weird.
we made a couple batches of those too. We supplied the band at Woodstock Academy and also at Griswold High School, and I think the middle school band too, with instrumentalist masks
They had bell covers too, right?
and the bell covers,
Yeah.
right? Which are they look like I didn't know, like a stretchy drum head that you
Mhm.
put over the end of the instrument, the flared part, which they call the bell, and that again, they're both of these are intended to, you're never going to completely eliminate the droplets, particles, but this really
Right.
cuts that down. And what that does is it's enabled the kids to practice their music during the winter. Now they're able to rehearse outside. Ray was telling me that he's been taking his kids outside and they're going to be doing their concert outdoors in May. But this has allowed them to keep rehearsing through the winter. And being a music person myself, I am really happy that we were able to do that. The singers' masks were really hard and time consuming, but they were worth it.
You also did Griswold High School graduation masks.
Yes, and
That I thought was phenomenal.
that was, and what warmed my heart was we had people kind of falling all over themselves to volunteer for that. Oh, I can't. What can I do? What can I do? I can't sew, but what can I do? I'll put. Can I put labels on the bags? I'll print up some like congratulatory cards that we can slip into the bags with
Yeah.
the masks. Okay, and we had people laundering the fabric and cutting it into sections for kids. Then we had people cutting the fabric up, the shapes, cutting out the fabric pieces and assembling little kits for the sewists. And then we passed those on to the people who were sewing. They would sew the masks. And then we passed
Tell them why
That's-
you call them sewists.
because we want to be open to both male and female people who sew. If you call them a seamstress, that's kind of a,
But if
gender.
you
female.
call them a
Yeah.
sewer,
If you call them a sewer, it looks too much like sewer in print. So we call them sewists, and that is an accepted term. That's
Sure,
a widely
it's fine,
accepted
yeah.
Do you know I
term.
had somebody ask me what my pronouns were the other day?
oh boy,
Yeah, it's a
Well,
weird world.
And I said, my pronouns. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are your pronouns? How do you identify? I said that it was a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm 55 years old. So I'm a dude's got 3 kids. You call it what it is.
Yeah, I know.
it's a brave new world.
Yeah, no kidding.
What are your pronouns?
Yes.
So I don't know
know.
have you gotten any pullback from any organization or group that has been anti Griswold, Connecticut masks for heroes?
No, and that has been really kind of gratifying. The only real pushback that I've seen or experienced has been the fact I always carry an extra packaged mask in my purse to hand out to someone who might need one.
Mhm.
And most often it's the kind of thing where I'll just go up to somebody cold and hand it to them. But every now and again you can, like, you see, I was walking into Aldi's one day, and I was walking out of Aldi's one day, and a young woman was pushing a child in her shopping cart and through the door, and then she suddenly looked horrified and put her hand to her face and went, "Ah!" And I kind of read the body
Yeah,
language
yeah.
and said, "Here, I have this mask, you can have it, it's free from our group." She said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." She's really happy. And that's frequently the response I get. I also was once in a restaurant when we went to Mount Vernon for one of the shows we did there last year. They did have a couple and they went really well. But I was at Denny's, and there was a guy waiting for his order, big, beefy truck driver looking guy. Okay.
Beefy.
Big, beefy, bearded,
Right.
balding, lots of
Any
B
other B
words.
words?
burly.
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 might have been belligerent too.
No,
I don't know.
well,
But
yeah.
I did. Paul just
he-
would have said
he
bitchy.
was standing there waiting for his takeout.
no, that's negative.
He-
No,
That's negative.
negative.
Paul's not negative.
he
No,
was standing
Beautiful.
beautiful.
beautiful, yes.
There we go.
So he was standing there waiting for his takeout order in front of the sign that said masks required, and he was not wearing a mask.
Buoyant.
And it took, I sat there and debated for a few moments, and I thought, oh, it's in my pocket. I might as well just hand it to him. So I went up to him and I said, here's a mask for you from our group
Don't kill
as a
me.
gift. Yeah, pretty much. He looked at it like I had handed him a package from Mars. And he looked at it and turned it over and stuck it in his pocket.
Was it an anti-masker?
I didn't ask him. He might have been upset because it was a Steeler print mask. I don't know. Maybe he was like a Cowboys fan. Maybe I insulted him. But
Well,
but yeah,
But he put it in his pocket.
he put it in his
see, Janice can get
pocket.
away. If I were to go up to a dude, big old dude, and
mask,
it would have meant, I might have gotten, well, and
I got another word, B word, behemoth.
behemoth. Yeah.
Behemoth, yeah.
Behemoth.
It wasn't that big.
No,
well,
Just burly.
just beefy
Beefy, burly.
Belligerent.
with no mask.
Yeah. But it more often than not, people
Mm-hmm.
are very gracious about it, and I'm always happy to like to be that fill-in person. Where, oh my God, I just this Sunday there was a guy in front of us who came into church and he was not wearing a mask. He's an older guy, and I happened to have one with me. So when we got up for communion, because you have to wear a mask to go up for communion, I handed it to him and we handed it to the guy who was sitting next to him, his friend, and he said, "Oh, thank goodness." He says, "Yeah, he left his in the car." So
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten out of the car
Oh,
to go
me
inside of a store,
too.
and my daughter will be out to get out of the car, and she's wearing her mask, and I'll be like, "Ah, son of a!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
And then
too.
I have to walk back and get my mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or drive back. In my case, I usually remember when I'm like 10 minutes out of the driveway. I have to remember that I didn't have to bring a mask with me. And we tried. You think we'd have like zillions of
17,000 masks. And we
Yeah.
don't
It's
have
amazing.
one.
It's
I
amazing.
think we could keep one
And you
in
don't
the
have one for
freaking
yourself.
pocket. Yeah.
Do you realize just how much worth that your organization
Oh, yeah.
has?
I see that.
Because a lot of people don't reflect on it because they're so busy doing what they do.
Yeah.
They don't look at, exactly how they are fulfilling such a need, in the community. It's
Well,
remarkable.
the wonderful thing about sewing, at least, I guess this might just be a function of having been someone who sews for decades.
Mhm.
Is that you can kind of think about other things while you're doing it.
Yes,
It's
yes.
and so yeah, I spend a lot of contemplative time at the sewing machine and the ironing board and the cutting table, and I like to think that the reason Connecticut has overall, I mean, not every single minute, but overall has fared better than some states in terms of its COVID percentages and death rate. I like to think that we had some influence on that because, we had masks out on the tree, the giving tree in front of the library that anybody could go and take.
Were you
You
the
know?
ones that put the masks on the frogs on the frog bridge in
No,
Willimantic?
no, I wish I could say we had. And let me tell you, I would like to make some new masks for them because the old ones look pretty ratty. But
Yeah.
I
So
will
you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're talking about. But I will tell you what we have made masks for. Somebody from our group made a mask for the CCC statue in
Yeah,
the Patchogue
yeah.
State Park.
I have
Okay.
seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Father Ted asked me if I would make masks for the figures in the nativity scene at St. Mary's Church, all except baby Jesus, because A, he's under 2, and B, he's divine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So we
Be
made
Be
that.
gone,
we made it.
COVID. Be gone.
And Ryan Aubin,
Who also is divine.
who's
Yeah.
also a divine. Yes.
Yeah, he's
He-
pretty close.
Yeah.
he asked me
He's the
if
son of God. We're not sure.
yeah. So
This is on-air abuse. You realize this is all documented.
Yeah.
I know to be negative. So,
loving-
but Ryan asked if we could help protect the Easter Bunny from COVID.
You mean for like this Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trailing the bunny this Saturday.
Yeah. Well, you'll see that he's gonna be protecting everybody that he meets from COVID, thanks to us.
Yep.
We made a mask for him, and there was what was the other? I'm trying to think of. There was some other, like
Other creature?
non-human entity that we made
made masks
masks for, and I'm drawing a blank here.
The
I don't know.
Grinch,
No.
No.
Bigfoot.
Oh, well, there was Santa. And I
Oh,
think-
Santa! Right,
Yeah.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Loch Ness monster.
Santa and Mrs. Claus approached us back in October.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Before the Christmas season started. They're the ones who have portrayed for years.
Yes,
done
yes,
Santa
right.
and Mrs. Claus down here at the Veterans Park. And I said, oh my gosh, I'd be honored. so they
But
showed
every day you make a mask for Santa.
Oh, well, Santa and Mrs. Claus and their little elf showed up in our driveway one Saturday morning.
Yep.
And I know they gave us candy canes or something like that. It was just delightful. They were wearing the masks, they were really happy. We found some Christmas prints.
I understand
in
Santa and
October.
Mrs. Claus wear athletic wear when they're not in their official garb.
Yeah, they look like
Just-
suspiciously like regular people.
They just
but
blend
they
in.
blend in,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's been really delightful. It's been really
You realize that this organization
delightful.
is going to go down, in history within the town of Griswold.
I
For
hope so.
many, many years. This whole pandemic is something that is going to be remembered and documented for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Past now. And one of the organizations that's going to be brought up, or it's going to be documented in there, is Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes.
Yeah, and we're one of many such organizations. There are other entities here in Connecticut. There's a Mask Makers of Connecticut group. They call themselves the Masketeers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they've been active in other parts of the state too. And actually, when the name Masks for Heroes kind of came up in my head, and when I kind of just needed the name for the group, I figured I'd put the Griswold, Connecticut in front of it just to in case. And it turns out that was a prudent move because there are many other groups called Masks for Heroes, some of which are making masks, and some of which were just distributing manufactured masks or trying to channel the manufactured masks to where they were needed. So yeah, actually it's interesting. I was contacted by a young person who is working on she's doing an oral history about mask makers. She herself is a mask sewist, and she's history. She's actually working on her graduate degree in Holocaust history, but she's interested in oral histories, and she thought it would be good to record record this experience kind of in the moment for future reference. So she's actually she was working on her bachelor's degree in Georgia, and now she is in Vancouver, Canada. But I did an online interview with her, and that was kind of fun to to think of it is. I mean, well, it's a grassroots response to a historic need, and I'm just really amazed to see what people can do when they're given the opportunity and given a direction to channel their wish to help.
Do you think that you're going to be known more as being a journalist, or as being the all-knowing, benevolent leader of Griswold, Connecticut Masks
Oh my
for
gosh.
Heroes?
That's a funny question. Yeah, I never really thought about it that way. But I will tell you that all the skills, all the resources that came my way through my journalism career have helped with this.
Prepared you for
being able to
this.
meet
Yeah.
deadlines, having all these community connections. Oh my gosh, in very early days when the group was first formed, I invited you and Ryan and
Right.
a couple of other community people, pillars of the community types that I knew in the area to join, and that kind of again was channeling information as to where things were needed, and it gave you guys a chance to spread that word out to a wider audience. So although it's called Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes, we have people from all over the area, from many of the neighboring towns who are helping us. And certainly the masks have been going out to a much wider, I've delivered
More so than just Griswold.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
yeah. We've delivered masks to SCAD down in New London
Mhm.
for their. I got a beautiful letter from Jack Malone, who's the executive director of SCAD, and he was saying, we really
He's a very nice guy.
but his letter, you can tell he was a writer in his previous life too. He was saying this, it means so much to have something that someone lovingly made for these people who are really kind of at their lowest point coming in, and to feel that comfort of that cloth on your face. Hopefully this will be, another sign that they're valued by our community, and so, yeah, but I feel like all these things that I learned how to do as a reporter, do research and make phone calls, cold calls to people asking for stuff.
That's all part of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Networking.
Yeah, exactly. So it feels like I felt like this was something I could do, and I should just do it. Damn it. So I
Damn
did.
it.
So I did. Damn it.
That's
Janet.
damn it, Janet. It's her own
that's
exclamation point.
from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
That's Janet, yeah.
So what's next? I mean, is there any end in sight? Are things slowing down?
Things have
Are
slowed.
people asking for 2-ply masks now? Because the whole thing is, let's see if people will wear 2.
Well, the people.
Sorry, that I think is
No.
funny. I think that's the 2 mask thing.
Well, here, I'll tell you. The people who are working at the vaccine clinic that I went to at the Norwich Senior Center,
Yes.
they are double masking because they're testing everybody as they come in, but they're spending the whole day with a whole bunch of people, wafting through, and so they're double masking, and I get that. They have I think some of them have the
I don't
commercial ones.
understand the double masking thing, and that's just my own opinion. I'm not gonna poo-poo anybody else's thoughts on that. But I was just kind of wondering, did you start getting requests for like double masks, like one mask that had like 2-in-1 kind of thing?
Well, when we got the request from the sub base,
Reversible day and night wear. I don't know.
They were the sub base was really picky. The U.S. government. Okay, so the U.S. government wanted for their sub base masks, the outside had to be coyote brown. Okay,
I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
It had to be 4 layers, and you couldn't see daylight through it. All right. And we played around with that. And those 4 layers that you can't see daylight through, you also can't breathe through very well.
Yeah.
So on the sly, don't tell the US government. On the sly, we started just using 3 layers. And the inner layer is the lightest interfacing I can find. Which is interfacing is like a stiffener. It's what they put in shirt collars to make them stiff. And so
is that what you use for the singers' masks?
Actually, we use boning, which is what they use in corsets to shape the corsets. It's like a thin strip of actually zip ties is what we're using as boning in the singers' masks. Old zip ties, cutting them up. But what we discovered with the sub-base mask over time was that the guys really liked it since it had to be coyote brown on the front. If you could make it a fun print on the inside, they really like that. So we get like Star Wars and Marvel superheroes and pirates and mermaids and stuff like that. Put that on the inside. Anything that's really kind of goofy and gives them a chance to lighten up. And
so it was also fun.
It was also fun. We try to make it fun for ourselves too. I mean, the fun fabric makes it fun for us. So.
Well, thank you very much, Janice, for coming on by. Very impromptu because we talked yesterday.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
No, of course. It was funny because I was standing outside my house and I saw the two of you drive by, and it's like you said hi. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't tell who you were. Thank you for telling me who you were. And then I was pretty excited because I hadn't seen either of you for so long.
Time. Yeah.
It's the way of the world right around this time.
Yeah.
None of us have seen each other.
Our
Hopefully that
social
ends.
skills are all kind of
Right.
rusty.
Hopefully that ends soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there will be an end in sight. I will celebrate the day I don't have to make any more masks.
Well, it was actually on the Board of Selectmen meeting last night in Griswold, the discussion of reopening town hall. So if no, they've been uber protective.
Yeah.
And in most cases overly protective.
Yeah.
And if they're talking about reopening, well, then they must be getting some decent information from
Right.
from Patrick McCormick and
Mhm.
Uncas Health. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they wouldn't make a move.
Right. Yeah.
So just to go ahead and look at a couple of comments that we've had before we say good afternoon or good morning. Ryan Aubin simply said, "Yay, Janice Steinhagen." And Stephanie says, "Great to hear about this organization. Thanks for everyone's hard work." So there we go. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming by. I appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
as you too, as Eric as well. I'm glad you came too.
Thank you. I didn't anticipate being put on camera or whatever.
You're
I do that to everybody.
You're my comic relief sidekick,
Comic
right?
relief. I thought it was security, but I don't know.
I did feel more secure. What about you, Paul?
Yeah.
I did. I felt more secure and
Yeah.
more in control of what I was going to do here this morning.
That's right.
What
Felt
a
more
good thing.
confident, and it's all because of Eric with an H.
There you go.
Eric. How do you say
Eric.
Eric? It's not Erich.
Oh, it's been mangled like that. Yeah.
It has been mangled, yeah.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for Paul and I today. Thanks to Janice and Eric Steinhagen for coming in today talking about Griswold, Connecticut Masks for Heroes. Tomorrow, what a bouillabaisse, huh?
Yep.
We got
And be happy.
and be happy.
Be happy.
We have quite the interesting contrast tomorrow. We have Griswold High School senior athletes and then a time traveler. So whoopee!
Woohoo.
You never know what's going to happen here on SNSN. So we hope you join us tomorrow morning. Coming up in a little bit later on, Phil Michelle with live from the Griswold Youth Center, and Angela from 2 to 6. So we hope you have a wonderful day, folks, and we will see you once again tomorrow, Thursday. You're not going to be here, are you?
Thursday?
Yeah.
No.
You got to come in every time, every single time that Joe comes on. He wants to know where Paul is.
Really?
Yes, and you don't show up.
What's he gonna do tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe.
Why don't you come and see Joe? He's been asking
Be
about you.
positive. Be positive.
I'll have to be.
Be positive.
I am positive.
If you're not positive, then just sit home and do nothing. Oh, Ryan Aubin said, "Yay, Eric," too. By the way. Well, Paul's done. He's unplugging. He's out of here. He didn't say "Yay, Paul," so I'm
No.
sorry about that.
He could give a crap.
He didn't say "Yay, Paul." He didn't say anything like
Nothing.
that. Yeah, there goes the positivity right down the pooper, right? Huh?
Off air now.
No, we're not. We're still on, dude.
Sorry.
See, the real Paul's coming out now. The real Paul.
Oh.
Yeah. So much for the act, huh?
No.
It's over now. See, this is the backstage version of what we do here. Look at him, he just looks tweaked over here. He does.
I'm happy.
Looks like somebody pulled a burr out of your hoof.
No, I don't have any birds. I'm happy.
The only reason I'll keep talking is because I hate. Oh. Ryan says Paul is amazing. So amazing.
Okay.
Suck up now.
Here's one thing I absolutely hate, and that's updates on the computer. Absolutely hate them. It causes nothing but problems. So if you take a look at the computer, like you guys are in the studio, you can take a look. It's just crapping out on me all of a sudden, and that is after the latest Windows update. I hate Windows. I can't stand Windows.
Oh, then get Mac.
Blinds.
I can't run this software.
The software won't run on a Mac.
No.
Oh,
So right over.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Look at it. Finally, it's decided to.
Louvers.
What?
Louvers.
Louvers.
Some with Linux.
Well,
What's
the
on
other thing
Google?
too is a lot of people getting shots now, so I think a lot more people are going out.
Get
Yeah.
your shot. Get it.
Yes,
Get
get
it.
your shot.
Get
We
it.
got we're halfway there.
I'm not throwing away my shot.
You already
Yes.
got one?
Yes, there is a wonderful, wonderful version. Look it up on YouTube by the Vaccine 8. It's a group of doctors out in California who did a parody of Not Throwing Away My Shot from Hamilton.
Yeah.
And it's excellent.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Great.
Look it up.
I hear the Moderna shot goes great with hummus. Goodbye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
For Griswold High School sports and your home for local news and weather, broadcasting from Main Street in the borough of Jewett City, the streaming news and sports network, SNSN.
Here's a look at your local news headlines on SNSN. At the latest